Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to MyWifiCoverage's product demo. In this demo, we're going to show you how to create 2.4, 5 GHz, 900 MHz, and 365 GHz coverage maps. We're also going to show you how to perform a link path analysis. To start, create your free account. Once you have your account, go ahead and log in using your email address and password that you established. Once logged in, you will be at the home page. The home page gives you all of the options, including your recent coverages, sites, and your recent links. The very first thing we need to do is create a new site. By clicking on New Site, we will have the ability to create our new site. In here, we have the ability to enter a longitude and latitude, and then give it a site name. Note here that as you type your longitude and latitude and hit Tab, you'll be able to recenter your cursor. Over on the left side, we also have the ability to add a description and group name if you wish to. If you're sure about the coverage area, you can go ahead and create new site. Otherwise, click on satellite mode and go ahead and zoom in. Here you can see that the map is slightly off. All we have to do is double click, recenter our cursor, and note that the longitude and latitude automatically changes. Once we've done this, make sure you put a site name in and then click create new site. Once we've created a new site, you'll see the recent sites, and then when you go back to your home page, note that the recent site shows up. Next, we're going to go ahead and create a coverage area. We're going to do this by clicking on the new coverage. Of course, we have to have a site to create a coverage map. The very first thing is to create a map. In our case, Tower A, and we're going to say North. Because it's North, we're going to have a sector. In our case, a generic 90-degree sector. We're going to go ahead and put our antenna height. This is the height above ground, so this is 133 meters. We have our bearing, as well as our antenna gain, our frequency, our transmit power, and any transmit line loss. Remember, if you use cables and connectors, as well as a lightning suppression device, you'll have a little line loss. The receiving station is your average client station. Ours is about 6 meters off the ground, and the average client gain is about 19 dB. Since it's an integrated unit, we'll leave the 0.5 dB of line loss on the receiving side. The system performance values is really where all the heart and soul is. Note here we have a number of options, and we have these wonderful tooltips that'll help you understand all of the variables. The first one, RX threshold, is basically the minimum signal that you want to see on your map. We're going to set ours to -65. The required reliability is basically how conservative the simulation is. More conservative or less conservative, it's up to you. The stronger signal margin we're going to set to 10. What this says is between -65 and -55, we'll consider that a weak signal. Anything above that, we'll consider a strong signal, and we have the ability to set both the strong and weak signal colors. We also have other options here, such as our opacity, our maximum range, rendering quality, if we need land cover, as well as 2 arrays. Typically the defaults here are fine. Once complete, go ahead and click Create New Coverage Map. Note that we are currently rendering our coverage. The system automatically renders this in the background. The simplest way to go ahead and refresh your status bar is by either clicking the My Wi-Fi Coverage or the Home button. Once home, you will get an auto refresh that'll help you out. Notice our status indicator is still processing. If we go ahead and refresh this, we should be able to see our status indicator change. As you can see, our processing has been complete while we are waiting, and we can now click our coverage map. So there we have it. We have a north 90-degree generic sector that we can zoom in, we can change the satellite view, or terrain mode if necessary. We also have the ability here to edit coverages. This basically gives you the option to change any value inside your coverage and then regenerate a coverage by simply clicking Update Coverage. In our case, we're not going to do so. Back at the home screen, notice that we have our north sector, but we don't have a south sector. So let's go ahead and create a south sector. In this case, we're going to basically use all the same variables as we did before. Our antenna bearing, our antenna gain, frequency, transmit power, and transmit line loss. Same thing for our receiving station and for our system performance values. They'll all be the same because we're using the same type of system. Note that we generate our coverage map, and then note that we can go ahead and click our home button to go ahead and refresh our map. Notice that we cannot click the south sector until our map is complete. Almost there as our map gets generated. There we go. Now we can go ahead and click the south map and view our south sector. But wait a minute, we forgot to change that we have a sector antenna. We're showing an Omni coverage area. So let's go ahead and change that. We hit our edit coverage, we select our antenna, in our case 90 degree, and of course we need a bearing since it's due south 180 degrees. We update our coverage, and again we render our coverage. Again, you can use the home button or simply a page refresh to refresh the page for the status indicator. As you can see, we're almost complete in our coverage. Let this process 1 or 2 more times. There we go. Now we have our south coverage. And as you can see, it's a wonderful coverage. So now, since we have multiple maps, we can use our multi-map coverage system. By checking each of the maps that you wish to see in your multi-coverage map, and then click View Multi-Coverage Maps, you can see each of your sectors on one single map. Notice at the bottom here we have the ability to turn on and off any of the selected multi-map properties so that you can see what each tower in each sector covers. The last system that we're going to create is a link. This is a radial path analysis. Note that we've already created a second site because of course we have to have a link between site A and site B. So to create your new link, we click New Link. Here we'll give it a name. We'll select our first site name. We'll select our antenna height for site A. And for site B, we're going to select our height, antenna type, and our frequency. In our case, a 5 gigahertz frequency. Like normal, we're going to put in our transmit power, our transmit gain, and our signal loss. Same thing for our receiving station as well. Since these are connectorized with lightning arresters, again, we use 1 dB at least for our line loss. The reliability, again, is how conservative of the simulation you wish to. If you wish to add extra coverage, you would probably set it to less conservative. By processing this, now note that we already have our link created, and we can go right back in here and see Tower A, Tower B. We can see our free space loss and our statistical loss, as well as any other losses that the system has calculated. Our distance is 15.2 kilometers. And as you can see there, we have a receive sensitivity and a receive signal measured. And we also have a fade margin. Notice our receive signal is -52, but our fade margin is only 7 dB. Now, if you're in an area that needs or has fog, things like that, that might not be enough. We also have our link path there. What we're going to go ahead and do is hit edit our link, and we're going to change this to a 32 dB antenna. Notice we render again. We go back to our home page, and by then, look at that, we're already back up and running. We click on our link, we have all of our data, but look at our fade margin now with 32 dB antennas. We have more receive signal, and we have a better fade margin. Here you can also click print link to get a professional report for your customers or any job. With that, we'd like to thank you for attending our MyWiFi coverage demo. As you can see, it's extremely easy to create MyWiFi coverage maps and create link path analysis. For all of our pricing options, be sure to visit www.mywificoverage.com and click on our pricing tab. All of our tiered plans are very simple and straightforward, and we hope you enjoyed our product demo.